Well, good afternoon, Quest for Thunder. Today is Tuesday, September the 3rd. Yep, September the 3rd. So we're back on the boat again today, or at least I am for the moment. Gene will be joining me later. And what we're up to today is we're making some changes in the way we're putting down this subfloor. When we templated out the subfloor, we had a specific idea in mind of how this was going to go. And as it turns out, because the boat is not square, and because we don't measure very well, I guess, I don't know. I don't think the boat is changing shape between the time we measure the template and the time we put the floor down, but so I guess that means we can't measure or the tinker. Anyway, we're having difficulty making these panels fit properly. And so we got to thinking about this, and we're like, well, you know, why do we have to match the original way that the subfloor was put in? Do we? And really the answer to that is no. We can do this any way we want to. We've already done something different by cutting away furniture cutting away floor that runs up under furniture without disassembling the furniture to get to that part of the floor. We just cut it away flush because we didn't want to disassemble the furniture. So, I mean, we've already made changes in the way that the floor would go back anyway, and we've had to put additional supports and stringers, etc., 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 in there to make that process work. So, why continue to try to follow the exact pattern if there's a better way? And so we've decided that, you know what, there may be a better way. There's certainly an easier way, and so we've decided to make some changes. So, so today we're going to continue along the lines of the process of putting the floor in, but we're basically going to do it based on ease. We're going to try to make it a little easier for us. We're going to get the same effect. Obviously, we're going to get a subfloor. And then where the seams are on the subfloor, they do not have to match in the teak and holly. So when we put the teak and holly down, we'll use yet a different approach for the teak and holly, because obviously we want as few seams in the teak and holly as possible. We'd like to have nice long runs of teak and holly. But we're going to change some hatch configurations and that sort of thing to make that easier for us, particularly here in the main salon. Possibly in the aft cabin too. There's a section in there where there's a couple of hatches where it could be one long hatch, and that would make it a little easier. So we're contemplating that as well. So that's what we're doing today. So let me give you a shot of what we did yesterday, so that you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about here. So today's trick is to cut a profile out, which is Gene's doing on this piece of rhino board. And that profile, as you can see on the, maybe you can't see it very well, but it's on this piece of board, it's basically this profile back here in the aft cabin, right there, you see that, transferred to paper, so that when we make the template for back here for this section, we can transfer that profile to the template, and then when we cut out the piece of wood, we get the same shape. So now the trick is we're going to put it in there, and we're going to put it in there and see if it fits. And then what we can do is once we get it up against there, then we can clean it up. So, you ready for this?
Yep. Cut out the curve.
Go ahead.
Alright,
yeah. Put it under there. See if it adheres to the profile to some degree. There is a lip there on the profile, so if we can get it close, we can probably slide it up underneath the profile itself and possibly trace it. And that'll make it better, actually.
well, if we start there.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty raggedy, but that's because this is raggedy and we traced it. See, that goes under though.
Alright, well, mark it with a pen.
It might go under though. I mean, the board itself. Unless you want it to just stop right here.
Well, we don't want it to go under. We want it to stop at the edge.
Alright, so I want to
So pull it out from underneath there. So it shouldn't be under because you
Right,
didn't-
so maybe I should mark it.
No,
with-
what I mean is down there on that end, it shouldn't be under. You shouldn't slide the paper under.
Right, it's not under. See, it's tabbed up.
Okay.
Maybe I should cut this.
So take the pencil and now trace, and we'll trim it. That'll make it. Here, I'll give you a pencil. That'll clean up the edge bit.
So you're
I'll
talking.
hold it right here.
Trace it right here.
Just put the pencil on stand the pencil straight up just like that, and just trace. So it comes off the board or the paper. I'm coming all the way down because you don't know where it's going to be and where it's not going to be. Just got to keep the pencil perpendicular all the way across to the floor.
Oops.
No oops.
There,
You're
it's
not allowed
not-
to say oops.
Good there. Now, this has to be cut there somewhere.
No, that's fine. That actually can slide underneath. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you make
Scissors
those-
would be better. than
No,
this.
we don't have any scissors.
No scissors on this boat, huh?
So you can use the razor knife and trim that. Well, I can't find it right now. It's buried under all that somewhere, I'm sure. Anyway, it's a piece that fits around the mast, and so what we're going to do is we'll take a look at that. It may be that we can just refinish that piece and then just use it. If not, we can use that to cut the template for the piece that needs to go there. So we have a piece that will work there, and then the rest of it could just be one nice long stretch. That'll be good. That'll help. Obviously, this is pretty simple. I'm going to make a little hatch right here. And then in the galley, where we took this out, this was one piece, but we're thinking it would make it easier if we split the piece right down the middle here. And so what we're thinking about doing then is just cutting our template in half and using one half on either side. There will be no access underneath this floor because there's no storage under there, so it won't matter. We'll be screwing the subfloor down, and when we put the teak and holly in, it'll make it easier because then we can adjust the lines going fore and aft because we can use one piece of teak and holly, or we can use two pieces of teak and holly, but we can move it back and forth to make the lines line up. So that'll make that a little easier. We don't have to worry about wasting material. And anyway, so that's the plan there. As you can see over here, we already did that here. Rather than trying to figure out the angle and make the cut, we just put this piece. We just cut this piece here out by the desk, by the nav station, and so that's there. And then on this section here, it's just one nice piece. There's only one hatch there, so it was easy. But as is always the case, we're off here by about a 1/4 inch. I don't know how that happened. Measure twice, cut once, but I don't know. So we'll have to make an adjustment here on this piece, and so that's something that we'll have to do today. And then that'll finish the. That'll pretty much get us to the point where we're done with the subfloor for all intent and purposes. So anyway, we're gonna get busy, and we'll get back to you and let you see how we go. I mentioned earlier, we decided to piece some of these floor pieces together. And this is what Jean is doing right here. As you can see, she's working on this smaller section of the floor in the galley. She's getting the measurements for the subfloor for the piece. So you see where we've put this one board, and now you can see the gap there. So we're going to fill that in. It makes it easier to take the floor up if we need to, and it just makes it easier to get the measurements more precise because the floor isn't square, so when you measure out a whole piece of wood, it doesn't always fit properly. So this is easier. And then this section over here is just going to be one big hatch. So we'll create a hatch that fits in that little space, so that we can have both, so we can have access to the back side of the water tank.
So these are the pieces that I was talking about earlier that I couldn't find. I finally found them. And what they are is they're just two pieces that go around the mast. And they make so they have to be able to be removed so you can access the mast step and where the cables and various things that come down through the mast from the wind instruments and radar and all that other stuff that's up on the mast comes down through. So yeah, so we'll make this section separate. We'll make this section back here separate. This piece here will be a single piece. But what we're going to do, instead of having this piece here being separate also, we're going to make the hatch one big piece right here with this curvature in the end of it so that it'll fit over the mast and it'll just be one big piece. So we don't have to have three separate pieces that way. So that's the next change. That's a change in what we were going to do. Plus that alleviates us from having to have this piece in here that went across. We don't have to have that now because it's just going to go that way. So that's that. We've gotten most of the flooring in. We've gotten pieces of the piece together the flooring in here, as you can see. And all of this will get screwed down. That's going to be a hatch right there. So we're going to have one. It's going to be one large hatch from here all the way across to here. One hatch where it used to be a small hatch that went only to here. But it'd be nice to be able to get access down in here also. So we're going to extend it and make it one big hatch, extend it to this section here. We made some adjustments over here, so we were able to get this piece in by the nav station. And now this is flush, and the hatch pieces fit properly, will fit properly, and we make the hatch for that section there. It'll fit down in there properly. So that's where we're at. We also kneaded up the bow a bit. It's much neater. Over here, we kind of neat things up, and that way it makes it a little easier to work in here. It's not so messy. So it's a lot better, a lot cleaner. So, anyway, that's what we did today. So, Quest for Thunder, thanks for checking in with us. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be back next week, we hope, Lord willing. For those of you that are in Florida and Bahamas, man, we are praying for you guys. We know that it's rough with Dorian just bearing down on you. So I just pray that everybody's safe out there. There's nothing worth risking your life over. If it's coming your way, get out. There's no point in sticking around. So anyway, from the crew of Thunder, we wish you fair winds and
Falling seas.
bye.
Bye.